beautiful people. Viv going live from York at the usual time of 9 o'clock on Thursday. And I was thinking today, as I always do, I've been doing a sort of one of those challenges things, and it got me thinking about my website. And I know I'd posted up about getting back to doing work, getting back to doing my shamanic healing after having some time off over COVID and also after my dad's death. So I thought I'd go straight in today with talking about soul loss and power loss. So soul retrievals are one of sort of the main things that shamanic practitioners do, especially in this country. In societies where shamans are, it's like the cultural spiritual practice, it's not quite the same, but somewhere like this where we aren't really a shamanic culture, we're more of a Christian culture, it is one of the main things that shamanic practitioners do. So obviously I talk about that because I know what that means, but for people it's like, what is that? So some of the ways I like to explain it is, say, for example, we do have like terms in the English language which give you quite a good heads up. So say, for example, you were in a car crash. Quite often people say, oh, I went a bit to pieces after the car accident, or any sort of shocking thing is what I went to pieces. That's sort of like, from a shamanic perspective, that would be you might have lost a bit of soul because it was such a shock. Or say that you were with a long-term partner and then you found they were cheating on you, or they weren't in love with you anymore, and you were like, oh, he left and he took a piece of me with him. Or when someone dies and you feel like you're still connected to them. That would be the sort of things in the English language which would give you the idea that maybe some sort of power or soul loss has occurred. So shamans believe that your soul is a multifaceted thing, and therefore bits of it can leave, and therefore you want those bits back, because generally speaking, nature abhors a vacuum, and if you've lost a bit of you, then something else can take its place. Or actually, if you lose a bit of you, that's not a good thing, because you're working on less of yourself than you could be. Another sort of way of explaining it, where language is sort of finding your way in the world. I'm sort of fumbling over finding my way in the world sometimes, is a good indication again of having lost a bit of power or a bit of purpose, sort of interchangeable sort of words for it. So my thing is, like, you know, I'm in my late-ish 40s. I've been through significant life transitions. So by your mid-40s, I'd see that most people have been in over like 50 significant life transitions, things like moving house, relationship breakups or divorce, loss of a partner, close friend, loved one, grandparent, parents, children, relatives, changing jobs, starting a business, serious illness, being in an accident, having an operation, becoming a parent is obviously a common one. And this doesn't even take into account that obviously from the moment you're born, you've got quite a lot of life transitions to go through from the minute you're born. I mean, we label all those like toddlerdom and being a young kid, but then puberty, what a nightmare. I've got 2 adolescents at the moment, and it's difficult navigating your place into the world as an adult and finding that what's right for you. Also, schools, bullying, emotional suffering, stress, abandonment issues, all those sorts of things. So all those sorts of life transitions can lead to power or soul loss. And if you lose enough power, there is like a similar thing that you're going to be not feeling quite as you should. Even stuff like not following your soul's purpose. So I believe we're all on the planet to share our amazing gifts with the world. I think anyone who's watched any of my lives will know I get very upset if people don't truly believe that they're awesome, because everybody is truly awesome and you all have gifts to share. So, you know, you might lose a bit of soul because you're not actually following your soul purpose. So there might be a little voice going, you should be a chef, you should be a chef, and you're going, but I don't want to be a chef, I'll feel bad, I'm not as good as everybody else, and you end up being something else, and a bit of your soul might leave because that bit of your soul desperately wanted for you to be a chef, and that was your sole purpose. So even things like that. So that's just some of the examples. And these sorts of life situations, events, changes can leave you feeling, you know, less focused, more stressed, low self-esteem, emotional numbness, can lead to sort of addictive behaviours or unhealthy patterns of behaviour, not quite feeling yourself. If you lose a bit of yourself, you're not going to feel quite like yourself, because a bit of you has gone missing. Like feeling like you've lost something along the way, it's not quite right, you're slightly off kilter. It can lead to maybe feeling holding grudges for a bit longer because you just haven't got that thing. You know, you're holding on to something for someone else, and that can be a sign that you've taken on something you shouldn't have. So yeah, that's sort of some of the ideas. One thing I've been reading recently, which I hadn't even thought of, but actually really resonated with me, was that your soul quite often appears in your dreams, and therefore if you don't remember your dreams, that can be a sign that you've lost that bit of you that can remember dreams. Or if you have recurring dreams from childhood, that can actually signpost a bit that maybe you lost along the way when you were a child. And children can be quite, I don't want to say stroppy, because that's not, I don't want to mean it in a negative way. They can be quite sure of who they are and what they want to be. You know, you listen to a kid who's determined they're going to be an astronaut, and they grow out of that, or maybe they don't, because they might end up becoming an astronaut. And you think those sorts of bits, that could definitely sort of lead to you having recurring dreams of being an astronaut, for example. If that was your soul's purpose and you went, no, I can't be an astronaut, it's too tough, you can imagine that little bit of you left and went, well, if you're not going to be an astronaut, there's no point in me being here, is there? So it's those sort of examples. And some of the things that can indicate that, other than the dreaming, is, you know, losing your temper for no reason, that sort of getting angry because there's a bit of you that's just not there. Overreacting to trivial things, that sort of, overreaction. Feeling unlucky, you know, that whole why me thing. Feeling life is a constant struggle, no matter how much effort you put in. And this is my big one. I get really upset when people are trying really hard to, for example, do the thing that they think is really important, and they're just really bumping up against these roadblocks, even though you can see they're trying really hard. Repeated illness or recurring bad luck. And then that sort of general feeling of letting people down or comparing yourself to other people. So that, you know, comparisonitis, they're doing better than me. Oh, I'm not good enough. That mum guilt thing or parent guilt thing, feeling that you're a bad parent, even though blatant everybody's watching you and going, you're not. You're not good enough at your job, that imposter syndrome, feeling a fraud. So it's all those sort of recurring things which are showing you that maybe you've lost a bit of yourself or a bit of your power, and you're not quite working. I call it sort of working on full batteries, that you're putting all the effort in, but it's not quite working out the way you want it to, basically. So that's where someone like me could come in, or some other person who deals with that sort of soul loss or power loss. So as a shamanic practitioner, my thing is to bring balance back. So if you're not wholly yourself and you're working on half batteries and you've got a purpose for being here and you can't quite get going with that purpose, or it's just taking more of your energy and you're not being able to share your gifts with the world, that's where I want to step in, because I want everybody to be their amazing, awesome selves. So that's why someone like me or some other shamanic practitioner, we do soul retrievals. So a session with me would be talking about, you know, are any of the things that I've just mentioned, do any of those resonate with you? Do you remember like moving house and then everything just didn't seem quite the same? And maybe you were really attached to that house and you didn't want to move, especially if you were a kid. You might have left a bit of you behind. Did you change jobs and you thought it was going to be amazing, and actually then it ended up just being a total disaster, and since then everything's just gone like disastrously, or just not the way you wanted it to, and so now you're struggling. So those are the sorts of conversations I have with people when they come and talk to me for a session, and then I can go and journey to my spirits and go and find those bits of you that have gone missing. So I thought that I would just tell you a bit about that, because people often ask me, well, what is soul loss? How would you know that you've got it? You know, what sort of signs should you be looking for? I really like that one about the dreaming. I thought that was just a really nice way of putting it. But if you can resonate with any of those, you know, life situations where you're then thinking, actually, yeah, I haven't felt quite the same since that thing happened, or since that person left, or stuff like that, then that's the time to get in touch with someone who can help you with that sort of things, either someone like me, or just go and see anyone who sort of deals with that sort of power loss or soul loss. you know, you might have your own person that you're thinking, oh yeah, I hadn't really looked at it like that. But obviously, I'm always here to help. I want everybody to be their amazing selves. We are all unique. We all have our own unique gifts to share. And I truly believe we're all on the earth to make it a better place. The other lovely thing about soul retrievals, if you come and see me and you've never had one before, you will get a power animal. And power animals are part of your soul that you need back, and they're like your own spiritual advisor. But the lovely thing about it, because it's always an animal, is it also reminds you that you are connected to the earth, that the earth is a powerful being, and actually we should remember that we're animals and we need to honour the earth and look after it, because the earth is looking after us, and sometimes we don't quite remember that. So that's another lovely thing that happens if you go for a session, a soul retrieval or power retrieval session with a shamanic practitioner, and you've never had one before, you will end up getting a power animal, which is amazing. And it's your personal power animal that nobody else can have any say about what they advise you or what conversations you have with them, because again, it's for you personally, just you. So it's another lovely thing I like about shamanic work, is there's none of this that if you get, say I brought you back a dog power animal and I brought someone else back a dog power animal, it's what that animal means to you. There isn't like a generic thing that says a dog power animal is this, this, this and this. It's all a very personal spiritual practice which taps into you being your best self, and I can support you in that, but I'm not going to dictate what that means. And that's another thing I love about it, because it's looking at your internal workings and who you are and your soul and what is best for you, rather than looking externally. And I think as human beings, sometimes we do look externally for our validation and our self-esteem and stuff like that. So obviously that's another thing that quite often comes up, is people always looking for the next shiny thing that's going to make their life wonderful and fantastic, the next course, or for me it's normally the next bag or the pair of shoes. That's not me, I don't like shoes, but you know, that sort of thing. If you're always looking outward for some sort of validation or some way to make yourself feel better, that's another really good thing I love about shamanic work, is it's like looking internally for your validation and feeling good about yourself rather than looking outside, which is better for you and better for the planet. So I hope I haven't gone on for too long, because there is I could go on about this stuff for so long, because there's so many little interesting facets and stuff about it all. But I hope I've given you a bit of idea of how you might be able to work out if you've lost a bit of power or a bit of soul. There are things I can point you in the direction of if you want to know a bit more. You can look at my website, for example. But I'm always around for a chat. I do a free 20-minute spiritual health check if you want to chat with me about having a session or want to know a bit more. Or, I mean, I haven't even touched on how I use essential oils for all that stuff, but you know that I love my essential oils as well. They're a great companion to the shamanic work. Plant medicine rocks. So just get in touch if you want to know more. It'd be great to know if you're watching this on replay. Please feel free to share with anybody who you think, oh, actually they'd be interested in that, especially for these sort of crazy things, because there's a fair few shamanic practitioners in this country, but there's not that many, and I think more people should know about how amazing it is. So thanks for watching, everybody. It'd be great to know if you were watching live. Give me some love if you want, so I know that you were there. And take care, everybody. Bye.